So, Shaun, welcome to the podcast. Absolute pleasure to have you on. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Yeah, it was great to be here. Thank you very much for asking me to come along.
No worries. Absolute pleasure. Appreciate the support as well, and obviously your time. So, we are going to be talking all things quantum computing today, which I'm looking forward to. I guess for anybody tuning in who doesn't know you, not aware of your background, do you want to give a bit of an intro of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, of course. So my name is Shaun Geaney. I'm a quantum computing specialist at Standard Chartered Bank. Prior to this, I did a PhD at the National Physical Laboratory, which is in Teddington in the UK, where I was doing research into sort of defects that exist in qubits, which we'll get onto later. And then from there, I went to work for a quantum computing startup where I used to build quantum computers. And now my role is effectively programming quantum computers. So I feel like I've done almost the full stack in a way when it comes to dealing and working with quantum computing.
Awesome, yeah, and hopefully we'll get into that kind of transition a bit later on in the podcast because it's certainly an interesting one. Um, so, obvious questions, super high level. People are probably kind of wondering why is a quantum computer different to a normal computer? Are you able to explain, I guess, at a fairly kind of layman's terms level, what the key kind of differences are?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So your audience may or may not have come across this idea of you have in normal computers these bits, these ones and zeros, whereas in a quantum computer, you still have those, but you effectively have what's called a very technical word, but it's called a superposition, but it just means you can be a mix between those states. And by exploiting that property and other inherently quantum properties, you can, for certain types of problems, gain exponential processing power. So the way I like to think of it is it's almost like a new tool, essentially. So we have normal computers like our laptops, say, or our desktop computers. Then you can take that up a scale to, say, data centers, which are much more powerful at processing more information and networking between all different applications around the world. And quantum computing are really good at certain problems like optimization, simulation. There's going to be a lot of impacts on AI and machine learning as well. So it's a fundamentally new type of technology built differently from the ground up, and there's many different ways you can build them as well. And by applying this new type of weird science and physics, you can hopefully exploit some new computational power that we've never seen before.
Amazing, and it's certainly an interesting topic. QC, I think it's along with AI. There's a bunch of subtopics, and I mean, quantum's a topic in itself. But yeah, again, hopefully we can come on to how that might potentially impact the kind of AI world a bit later on. So I guess interestingly, I'm quite keen to understand how you got into quantum technology and ultimately where you got your start.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I sort of kind of fell into it by accident, really. So I did my master's in physics in the University of Manchester, and I was enjoying the course, but nothing had really sort of like really captured my interest at that point. And it was just by chance in my fourth year there was a module, not even in the physics department, in the computer science department called quantum computing. I was like, oh, what's that about? This sounds weird and interesting. So I did that course, ended up really enjoying it, and then because that was like the last semester in university, I already had a job lined up as a software developer. So I ended up doing web development for a year before deciding, actually, no, I want to go back and do a PhD. So I did some research online, found a few PhDs that I applied for, and I ended up getting one that was between Royal Holloway, the University of London, and the National Physical Laboratory, which is it was sort of like a joint PhD between them. And I started that PhD in around, oh God, when was it? 2016-ish, 2017, and it was essentially a thesis or a very experimental PhD, very hands-on, where I was looking at individual qubits, which are these ones and zeros that we were discussing earlier, as you physically build them on some sort of chip. But some of the problems that they have is they have inherent defects in the way that they're made, just because of how the atoms place themselves on chip, or certain defects can appear. And the key problem was no one knew exactly what these defects were. You could measure their effects on these qubits. They sort of caused what's called decoherence, which basically a technical term, that means they sort of lose their quantum properties over time, which is not an ideal thing you want if you're trying to process quantum information in your quantum computer. So I was trying to build a microscope that was going to detect an individual one of these defects for the first time. And it was quite the engineering challenge. I had to build, because you need to have these systems to be very isolated from the environment. So I built this whole like suspension system to try and measure these defects, and you have to have all these different types of microwave equipments that use the sort of same technology that you do in like radio signals and telecoms to interrogate the response from your qubits and so on and so forth. And that gave me a lot of technical hands-on expertise. So after the sort of 4 years when I did my PhD and I passed my viva, I then got an offer a company called Oxford Quantum Circuits, which is a startup in the UK that is building quantum computers. And I was working for them for about 2.5 years, where I was doing all sorts of things as you do in the early days of a startup. But I was primarily focused on building the sort of enclosure where what's called the QPU, which is the quantum processing unit, equivalent to that sort of CPU and GPU, but for a quantum computer, where the housing in which that sits, which has, you would think that would be a simple problem to solve. There's a lot of things you've got to take into consideration, like its thermal conductivity. It's got to get cold quick. It's got to be isolated from the outside environment. It's got to allow only the signals you want to get in, and it's not got to be able to have almost the equivalent of an echo chamber. You have to think of ways in which you mitigate those effects and so on and so forth. So I was designing a lot of that, and also a lot of the cabling that goes in that speaks to the qubits directly as well. And after doing that for a while, again, another sort of like luck chance, I saw an opportunity at where I am now at Standard Chartered to now work on the sort of software side. So you get to start writing programs and machine learning algorithms for quantum computers. And I thought, well, let's try it. It's something I've never done before, see if I can. So I went for the interviews. I got the job, and that's what I've been doing for the past about 2.5 years now. So I've been transitioning very much from hands-on hardware type of work to sort of programming quantum computers and thinking about how you'd use them for solving actual real-world applications in a bank now as well, which is an exciting and difficult transition.